am like 20 minutes late, not because, or 22 minutes late, not because I wasn't here. I was actually ready to go like 20 minutes before we're supposed to start. But I am not the best at technology, and all my team is probably laughing right now because they know that. And apparently, I haven't done the update on my group pages, so it looks so different from what mine is. I literally just went live on my page to ask them if they could hear me before I went here. And then, anyways, all right, I am going to start. Hi, my name's Jess, and I am from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I actually started my business in New Mexico when my husband was in the Air Force. And it was the biggest blessing of you're going to hear this over and over and over and over. Hi. Hi, everyone. That it's just changed my life, and it's changed so many people's lives. And so the reason why we share that with you, because it really can change people's lives. When I first promoted to director, my team name was Angels Saving Lives, because I truly felt like this business saved my life, and I still do. But as the business grew and just different dynamics of people, I had a prompting to change it to Angels of Light, because I wanted all the consultants in my organization to know that they literally can shine light into people's lives. And yes, it's also metaphoric with our with it being Scentsy and having lights in our warmers and super fun like that. But anyways, I wanted to okay, so where am I going to start? Just to kind of give you a little background. So I've been with Scentsy since April 3rd. So my Scentiversary is around the corner, 2011. So 12 years. I cannot believe it's been 12 years. This is the longest I've ever done anything. The longest job I ever had was 2.5 years. Because I just got bored with everything and just nothing to excel. And yeah. And I have a very ADHD personality, as you could see. And so Scentsy really helps me kind of look forward and zero in. And it really helps with my depression and all these things that I deal with. It's helped with my dyslexia because it's forced me to read more than I've ever wanted to. And I've gotten better with reading. And funny enough, I actually love to read now. Crazy, but true. Today I'm going to talk about re-engaging your business. Now, the reason why I felt prompted to talk about this is because a lot of everybody's been kind of talking about the last 3 years. Things are just different. I obviously 12 years ago, things were a lot different. This was just getting started, like Facebook, and I was just kind of learning about it. And I mean, I know 12 years later, you'd think I would know more, but anyways, I didn't really grow my business online by any means, and I still wouldn't say that's how I work my business per se. I grew it from home parties, and because I'm a very much want to be interacting and right in front of you and talking to you and asking you questions and feeling your energy and all that fun stuff. So obviously when 2020 happened, it was a big change for me and everybody. And some people really kind of jumped on board and just thrived. But I'm going to share with you guys, this is very transparent. When everybody else's businesses were hyper growth, growing crazy, mine didn't. Yes, I managed to shift and go online and do some online parties and that I wasn't used to doing. I did some Zoom parties. I did some Facebook parties, and they worked because they had to. I didn't have another resource. So it's very important to realize that you flourish where you focus. And so as much as I told myself that I wasn't really good with online, because I had to be, it worked, right? But as soon as things started to open up again, it was like a reason to give myself an excuse to not have to focus that way. And so it's really the way your brain, where your mindset is. And so if I wanted to reshift and say, I really want to focus on this online thing, anybody would flourish that way because you flourish where you focus. Um, However, for me, my I had to re-engage and reinvent my business far before that. I had some traumas in my life about 6 years ago, and that really just changed the way I looked at everything, my life, my business, the way I thought, everything. And so coming out of that trauma, I really had to it felt like waking up from a coma and just like, okay, where am I at? What am I doing? How am I going to re-engage and kind of jump back in? That was the question I asked myself. But when I really boiled down to that question, I realized that I didn't have to jump back in. I had to just decide, where did I leave off? And what have I continuously been doing? Because even though I had a trauma and I wasn't as engaged as I was, the systems I set up and just being in the rhythm of my business for so long, which was about 5 or 6 years before this happened, just kind of kept me afloat. And it wasn't a lot of work because it was a system that I had already created, a ritual and a habit. So thank goodness I did that I was able to, Orville kind of uses the example of a Ferris wheel that, it takes a while to get going, but once that Ferris wheel is going, after a while, you can kind of push it a little bit and it just keeps going, and then just a little spin and then a little spin, and it just keeps that momentum going. And that's what I kind of was doing for a good 3 to 4 years, I would say. Not that I wasn't working my business, but I wasn't as engaged and intentional. I was just kind of keeping things going and doing the what needed to happen. So with that being said, I wanted to, and just, if there's any questions or comments, I can't see it because you've heard this a million times. Squirrel, I will totally lose my train of thought. So I will look afterwards. You guys know the drill. So really fast, what does re-engage mean? And when I look that up, I think it sounds simple, like we all know what re-engage means, but I actually found some words that I was like, wow, you know what? That's really interesting. So one of it was promote, upgrade, advance, renew, and restore. And so sometimes when we're re-engaging, it doesn't necessarily mean that we've been gone or we've stopped, but we have, we're looking to do things differently or better. And so those words really make sense. Upgrade, meaning, okay, things are going fine, but I want to do a little better, or I want to do things a little different, or add something, or who knows. And sometimes when you re-engage, you're going to find that you're going to take some things out because you realize that they're not really serving you or your business. I just got done watching Rachel's, and she was talking about if it doesn't bring you joy, then don't do it. And I am a big fan of that. I'm an advocate of that. Now, neither of us say that in the way that it should be a selfish choice, like, oh, well, that doesn't bring me joy, so I'm not going to do that for you. We are very much about service and making other people feel appreciated and loved and valued. But when we say that, and I'm like talking for her, but I just know her heart, so I'm sure that she can agree. It doesn't mean if it doesn't make, like, what am I trying to say? If it actually is giving you stress and literally making you not like your business, that's what we mean. That's when you need to cut it out, because Scentsy should bring you joy. That's what I mean. And I hope you guys got that, but I just felt like I needed to kind of second the motion of what she said because it's so true. So before I get into like this long list of things that we can do to re-engage, I want to talk about some rituals that I like the word rituals because It just seems a little bit more safe because a lot of people don't like the word systems. They get like scared, like systems. I don't know if I can do that. So if you're that person, I'm going to use rituals just to make you feel a little bit better. And rituals, what does that mean? Just things that you're going to do daily. And it doesn't, and I'm actually talking about the rituals that are going to help you run your business. And there are things that you do before that. And so I want to ask you, what are things that you do for yourself to get you in the mindset and the physical feeling of, I want to actually work today? And whether that's 15 minutes or all day or whatever that looks like for you, but are you setting yourself up for success? And so, for instance, I'll share you my rituals that have changed a lot over the years. Sometimes they didn't look anything like this, but currently in my season of my life, where I'm at, where my kids are in school, where my husband is at, he actually worked nights for my entire marriage up until this last year. So it looked different because my nights were open because he wasn't there, so I would work at night. But now that he's home, oh heck no, I want to be with my husband, right? So that's why it's so amazing to have this kind of business, because it can change as your life changes, and it can you can find rituals that will work, and sometimes it'll take a while. Okay, so the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because we can't make changes unless we know what we're looking to do, and if we're going to have the energy and the time to do that. And so we have to kind of see what it looks like first, our life, because we run our business in our home, right? So it's intertwined. It's not like other businesses that you can separate your work life with your personal life. You have to find a way to mirror them and have them live in harmony. And so what I do is I start my morning every day at 4:00 in the morning. Now, that probably sounds crazy for all of you, but I've been in this for 12 years and I just started this last October. And this is because it works for me now. It wasn't always like that. But the reason behind the 4:00 is because I personally have a health issue that I have to stretch my muscles or I have extreme pain. So every morning at 4, I wake up before my husband and I stretch and I have that time for myself, okay? I listen to scriptures to kind of get my mind going and a talk that motivates me. I listen to a podcast and it gets me in the mindset of how I want my day to go, okay? Then at 5, I wake my husband up and then we work out together. I'm so blessed to say that I have a gym in my house. After 12 years, I was able, it was about 2 years ago, we purchased a whole home gym because of COVID. And we were able to just create a gym in our house. And now all I have to do is go upstairs. And so, but it took me a while to get the mindset of actually doing that. So it's okay if you're not there right now. I'm just sharing with you what I do that helps me get into that mindset, okay? We work out together for 2 hours, and then I shower, we have breakfast, and we get the kids off to school, and I start my day by about 8:30, 9 o'clock, okay? If I don't do that, my day does, for me, because I need rituals because of the way my brain works. If I don't keep myself in check, then it'll go all over the place because I am a squirrel person or ADHD or whatever they call it. I've never been diagnosed with that, but I just know that that's my personality. And so I've realized when I work with rituals and I go to bed at the same time, for a long time, I really struggled with that because I was almost kind of rebellious. Like, well, shoot, I don't have to go to bed. I don't have to get up at a certain time. Nobody's telling me I have to be at work at a certain time. So I really lived it up for a long time. But once I kind of got through that, what's the word? This is my life. Nobody's gonna tell me what to do type of thing. I'm running my own business. I realized that, if I'm gonna run a business, I have to treat it like a business. And if I wanna be paid like a business, I need to work it like a business and have actual intentional work time. Now, I'm not saying I'm at my desk from 9 a.m. to, whatever, but I get the mindset of, okay, what am I doing for work today? Sometimes I'm at my desk, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it's, especially because I have a lot of health problems, sometimes it's in my bed with my laptop. But I know what I need to do, and I'm able to be intentional. And just like Rachel said, if it's only 15 minutes, then I know that that's where I'm gonna buckle down and get those things done. Okay, so what rituals do you do that is setting you up for success for the day? What's helping your body feel good? What types of foods are you putting in your body? Are you drinking enough water? I know you're like, wait a minute, this is like a health class or something, but you guys, it all intertwines. If you physically don't feel good, it's going to be very hard for you to be disciplined to do something that you may not necessarily love, because there's going to be parts of your business that you don't love, but it does, but they still have to happen in order for it to grow and to maintain and actually bring you a consistent, reliable income. Okay. That's just the way it is. We'd love to say that you could just choose and say you don't need to do these things. Well, you don't, but you're not going to have a reliable income and your business isn't going to grow. That's just the facts. That's the beauty, is that if you're okay with that, then you do what you want to do. But if you want things growing and be consistent, you want a healthy foundation of your business, then there are certain things that have to happen. And so, for instance, I personally don't love the part of asking for parties. Even though I love parties, I don't like the process of getting them booked. So I have to make sure that I am feeling the best I can physically. That helps me mentally, and it helps me have the courage and the confidence in order to have those hard conversations. Okay. So what makes you feel confident? What makes you build courage? Is it putting on makeup? Is it doing your hair? Is it dressing for success? I know lots of, there's a superstar director, Katie Farner, I've always loved. She knew what makes her feel successful. She dresses so gorgeous all the time, ready for success. She looks like she's ready to go on stage. And I think that's amazing. I feel like that sometimes, but I'm generally like, I want to be a comfortable person. So find what makes you feel confident and successful and comfortable in order to be your best you. Okay. It looks different for everybody. And what I just said, it may look different for different reasons. Like, I like to dress up sometimes for different things. So if I'm doing an event or something, and it depends on what kind of event, I may want to dress up a little. But if it's a very casual event, I may just wear my sweatshirt and jeans. Okay. I know I'm like way behind because I started late, but I hope you're following me. Let's see. All right. Transparency and vulnerability. I'm going to talk about them both together. Those are your two strongest attributes. If you can learn how to utilize them in life as well as your business. Being transparent, it will help you be more vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you can be more transparent. And that's when people can connect with you the most as a human being, as a person. And you suddenly are not just the salesperson. You're suddenly not just the person that, I'm sorry, I'm getting all these like little pop-ups of like my frame is too small, or I don't even know what this means. So I hope everybody can see me. If somebody can just like in the comments, just make sure you just let me know you can see me. That would be awesome. Okay. I don't see any comments. I'm just going to keep going. Hopefully you guys can see me and hear me. So we need to be able to be relatable in all aspects of our business. And sometimes when things change, here's the thing, guys, life is always shifting, right? You're always going to be in a different season. The goal is to always be progressing, hopefully, in life, right? Moving forward. And so when that's happening, things are going to change as far as how you work your business. And so sometimes because life hits you, you may stop doing some things that you were doing to engage and connect with your team, with your clients. And so you have to one day, once things start to get better and you get a hold on things and you feel like you're ready to re-engage, it's so important to be transparent. People are going to be more likely to accept that they haven't heard from you in 6 months or whatever, when you are vulnerable and say, look, I've been going through a lot and I'm so sorry. I hope you know that I was always there for you if you needed anything. But I apologize, I haven't reached out sooner and you haven't heard from me. People want to hear that you're a human being and they're not the only ones that have stuff come up. And, because sometimes when we are so like, they're like, how the heck is this person so, they don't realize that we have apps that help us do that. You may not have those set up, right? But even apps can make us not be as connected. And so those apps may make us get so used to, they're hearing from me all the time, but it may push us it almost gives us permission to not have to connect directly as much. And then when things are happening, we kind of rely on those systems. That's what happened with me. And there wasn't any personal touch. And so I had to make sure that when I was ready to kind of re-engage and dive back in and be more intentional, I had to make those personal conversations to let them know what was happening. I let them know, I know you've heard from me through email. I know that you've been updated on my VIP page, but I haven't talked to you personally. And this is why, this is what's going on in my life. And they're very, very grateful for that transparency. And you know what's funny is people like to help people that are in need. And so you'll be surprised how people kind of come out of the woodworks when they realize that, you know what, it wasn't because you just don't care or you stopped your business or, whatever. There was a real reason, and it was a human reason that they probably can relate to. So it's important to find out what caused your disengagement. So if you're like, I have no idea what stopped me from doing this, it's time to kind of focus in on your life and really think about what have you been focusing on? Is it, have you been having some challenges with kids? Maybe your marriage, maybe finances, and that's just been kind of taking you away. And once you realize what took you away, you can start to really think about, okay, now that I know that, but especially, let's just use finances for an example. Hello, Scentsy can help you with your finances. And so if we're using this as, it's funny, I keep quoting Rachel's because it was such a good talk. She said, your why can't be your excuse. So if your finances are struggling and you can't afford to do X, Y, and Z, not doing your Scentsy business that doesn't parallel to say that I can't work my business because I'm having financial issues. Well, Scentsy's going to help you with those financial issues. So it's just really clarifying and being transparent with yourself as well, because it's great to be transparent with everybody else, but if you're not being transparent with yourself, nothing's going to change and nothing's going to grow, right? We'll continue to have those same issues because we're not really getting to the root of the issue. So it's so important to find out, like, what part of my life has stopped me from being engaged. And usually I'm being kind of biased here. Well, not biased. That's not the word. I'm being kind of harsh, but it's real. Is that nothing about Scentsy is, how do I put this, you guys? Whenever we struggle in Scentsy, it has nothing to do with Scentsy. That's what I'm going to tell you. It has to do with you, your life, the way you think, the way you view the situations and obstacles that are happening in your life. And it's just easy to blame Scentsy or to just push Scentsy aside. Because it's when some things we can't push aside, right? We can't. It's in our face. But when we could say, I need something to go, Scentsy's usually the first thing, right? unless it's your income and your livelihood, like it was for me. I couldn't just disregard it completely because it was paying my bills. It was, basically taking care of my family while I was going through a big depression and trauma, right? But if maybe you have another job and Scentsy isn't changing your financial situation right now. So it's the first thing that you can just say, oh, I'm just going to put a pause on that, right? So it's just very important to be aware of what is causing you to disengage, because awareness is the key. If you don't have awareness, nothing can change. Change only starts when you're aware of the issue or the challenge, I'll say. Okay, if we're going to start engaging, this is one of my first tips. Start where you enjoy the business. Now, you may be at a place that you've been disengaged for a while and you don't remember what you enjoy. You hear, again, you guys, you're going to hear a lot of the same things, but it's because it's true. Going back to the basics and when you first started, or think about when you were the happiest in your business and you enjoyed your business the most. What were you doing? What was happening? What conversations were you having? What activities were you doing in your business? Did you stop going to events? Like your team meetings, if your upline had them, or if you're a leader, did you stop making them? You guys, I started doing team meetings the first month of my business because I had 5 team members my first month. And it's because I needed that engagement. And what happened is during COVID, I stopped doing those team meetings, and I didn't realize how much it really affected me mentally because I need that interaction. Okay. But then I got so used to not having them, I started making like excuses of why I wasn't going to do them anyways. And I forgot that, you know what? I don't just do this for my team. I do this for me. I need this. Even if I'm not in the mood, it's going to help me get in the mood. So one of the best tips that, and it's funny, I'm referring to Rachel's again. So go back and watch Rachel's if you haven't seen this. So it'll make sense if you haven't seen hers yet. Company events. If you're like, I don't know where to start to re-engage my business, or to reinvent, or the words like advance my business, or renew, or restore, or upgrade my business. Like, say it's not like you're not engaged, but you want to do something different. Company events are where to do it, because you are going to be right center in the energy. And whether you realize whether you don't know what you're missing or not, or what's gone, or what isn't, why you're not excited anymore with your business, the energy is going to spark whatever's missing. The people, the training, the feeling that these company events do. So if you're not enrolled in, or I guess it's called enrolled, registered for SFR, do that. I always say it's the best investment for you and your future. A lot of people think, well, I'm not looking to make a business, and I'm fine. I got a good job, and But I will tell you that you'll be amazed how just the energy and connection and just being a part of a culture and seeing what you're a part of just changes you as a person. And it makes you just want to be a better person. You're going to go back to your full-time job and want to be a better employee for that job. And you're going to want to do better with your business. You want to be a better person for your family, because Scentsy doesn't just teach you about the business. They teach you about life. I have to say, and that I'm sure so many people will back me up, that one of the biggest things that Scentsy has been as far as a blessing is because they help us grow as a person and help us understand ourselves. So we can become a better person and the best rendition of ourselves through the trainings they give us. Okay. Second, home parties are where I started, right? I literally did like 2 home parties a day. I would start at 10 o'clock and then I would go home by 1 o'clock. I'd pick up another bag ready to go and go to my next party. So I was like, bam, bam, bam. And so I learned a lot about home parties and the culture of the people that show up to those parties. And I realized that that's just my jam. Okay. Well, hi, it's been a while since I've done one. So here's a suggestion that I'm doing to re-engage and get that home party trail going again. and I've done this before and I recommend it. I've done it actually several times a lot of times in my 12 years, is relaunch your business like a new consultant and start with your circle of close friends, family, and close clients that have been with you for a while. And I've even done this, you may decide, I don't know if you can do this or not, but because it is your time and it is effort, and time is money. But I will actually tell these people, don't even come with your checkbook. Don't come expecting to buy. I just need to get this party going again, and the feeling, and I need to get my feet wet again and get used to what questions and used to sharing the new products, because we have so many new stuff. And you get that feeling again of, oh my gosh, I love parties, I need to do them. But guess what happens? Somebody books a party and somebody ends up buying. It never not happened. So, but it reminds you why you love being around people. Now, again, you may have never done a home party before and you may have no interest, but I am basically sharing with you what I'm doing to re-engage in areas that I haven't been in a while. And it's because I had to look at what I love about this business, and it always goes back to the home party. And so that's what I'm doing, is I am doing my own relaunch party. And I recommend to do it at least twice a year for every new season catalog. I've always done that. But this time, because it's been a while, I am doing that little tweak of saying, you know what, don't even come with, expecting to buy. I just really need your help. People love to feel like they're helping. Okay. And that brings me back to, the next one, is send out some surveys. Let them know. You might even send like a little email that says, hey, this is what's been going on. I've been kind of, not as engaged as I'd like to be, but ask them questions. Ask them, like, why do you stick with me as a consultant? What do I do that keeps me as your consultant? What am I doing right? But also, what can I do better? And then also, I always throw in some questions that makes them feel like they're contributing to the company. And I just did this and I got some great responses. It was so awesome. But I was also able to say, like, it's been a while. I would love to do a home party, and to find out who would actually be interested in, that 0 to 10 thing. You've heard that a lot, and it really helps. But ask them, like, what would you wish Scentsy would provide that we don't? Or what's your favorite product and why, and how do you use it? And it just makes them feel like they're valued. But that's a way to engage, and you're not like saying, hey, could you buy something from me? But you're really saying, hey, I'm just really trying to reconnect and see how I can do better, and re-engage in a better way. Sometimes it's just as little as checking in and just saying, hey, I know it's been a long time. How have you been? I was thinking about you. And it's important to be transparent and honest. Not transparent, that's not the word. Honest. Because if you weren't thinking about them, don't tell them that, because that's lying, right? You're not going to feel good about that. But, just say, hey, I was going through my client list and your name came up and I realized we haven't talked in a long time and I'd love to know how you've been. Be honest. Because then they're going to be like, wow, she didn't say like she was thinking of me, which would be weird, because why did she just start thinking about me now? But if you really were thinking about that person, then tell them that. But like I said, just really be honest. Let's see. When you call them or text them or whatever, have a purpose. And a purpose that's going to be, like, an example is to share with them an actual promotion that you think they're going to personally enjoy. So a promotion may make them think of you. They may say, you think of them. So if, oh my gosh, the last time this person loved Scentsy Buddies or something, I don't know. This promotion made me think of you. And it's an intentional and purposeful conversation. Does that make sense? Instead of just hey, how are you doing? You may not feel as genuine. Oh, that's the word, genuine. You may not feel as genuine saying that, but if you have a purpose to connect them of why you're reaching out, that's another reason, another easy way to reconnect. So another intentional purpose is maybe have you talked to them about a specific service that we have that you've never had a conversation about? So Scentsy Club is a huge thing, you guys. It is such a benefit to both the client and the consultant. So if you've never had an actual conversation about Scentsy Club, that is a wonderful purpose to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Jen, you know what? I know it's been a long time, but I've been just going through all my clients, and I realize I've never had an actual conversation with you about Scentsy Club to make sure you understand the benefits." And so that's the purpose of, like, I'm just making sure that I'm serving you and making sure you know all your options. That is going to kind of break the ice, and they're going to feel like, wow, you're taking the time to call me and let me know that all these benefits. It may not be for them, but here's the thing. If it's somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time and possibly hasn't purchased in a long time, that may re-engage them to become your consultant again. I mean, your customer again, and to actually start buying. Because they haven't heard from you in a while, maybe that they just stopped buying Scentsy, period. Let's just hope that, because usually some other consultant came along and they started taking care of them. And we don't want to hear that, but we also do, because we don't want to feel guilty that they haven't had their Scentsy in however long because we haven't connected with them. So it's like a double-edged, you're not quite sure if it's a double-edged sword or not, but it might re-engage them to go, you know what, I really do like this consultant. And, I thought because here's the thing, guys, when we stop engaging, most people think we just don't do it anymore. That's the sad part. So they'll probably drop their consultant they've been, dealing with like a hot potato. That's just part of the business. You might be that person. When they find out that person that they have a connection with, which is hopefully you, is still in the business, and you take that time to reach out. Oh my gosh, it's already 36 minutes. I'm going to try to whip through this. Sometimes it's helpful just to send a quick little note in the mail, and you can send a postcard or just write a little letter to your clients and just say, "Hey, this is what's been going on. I'm sorry that you haven't heard from me. I just want to let you know you're valued, and I am still here. If you need anything, now this is the time to be able to say, hey, we have a new catalog. I'm really excited about it. I'd love to share it with you and come over to, have you smell the scents. These are some different options for us to reconnect." But then make sure that once you send that mail out, that you have a follow-up system. Meaning, don't just send the mail out and just hope people are going to call, because it's very likely they're not. One, people don't always check their mail. Two, they check their mail, they look at it and go, "Oh yeah, I want to do that," and then they forget. Okay, and then the husband throws out the mail or something. So what I would do is, because I have Project Broadcast, I will do a spreadsheet with all my mail merge addresses that I'm sending it to, and then I will add the column of a tag of this specific letter, and then I will set up a follow-up text that goes out like a week later saying, "Hey, did you get my letter? I just wanted to follow up and see if there's anything I can help you with." Because one of the things I learned very, very early on in my business from my upline and dearest friend, Becca Levi, is she says it takes 7 to 8 times sometimes to connect with somebody for them to actually take action. Meaning they may be interested with that mail, but then you text them and they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to do that." But you may talk to them a few more times before they actually place the order, or they actually book the party, or actually join your team, or whatever. So if you know that, then you know that it's just part of the business. It's not that you're doing something wrong. You just haven't talked to them enough. Okay. So this one I found, actually, I just looked up some ideas and I thought this was interesting. This is something I need to do. Uh-oh, my internet is going. I hope you guys can still see me. I'm frozen, aren't I? Okay, so I'm just going to keep going. I hope you guys can see me. Take the time to look at your clients that you want to re-engage in on their social media. It's a great way to kind of find out where they're at and what's going on in their life. And it's a good way to have a startup conversation. You may find that they just had something good or bad happen to them in their lives. And it's a way to reach out and just say, hey, I saw that, your daughter just graduated. How exciting. Congratulations. Or if it's something sad, you could say, I just wanted to reach out and let you know I'm here. If you need anything, I'm so sorry for your loss or whatever. And it's just a touch point. It's just a touch point. And so this is something I've always known, but I don't utilize enough. And so me doing this training that's what I love about doing trainings, is it makes you do some research and kind of re-engage and find out what you need to be doing that you haven't been doing. So this is me re-engaging in my business, is doing this training, because I haven't done a lot of trainings in a long time because I just haven't committed. The first one I committed to was last Saturday and I was in the hospital, so I couldn't follow through with it. I felt so bad. So I'm so glad I'm here tonight with you guys. Oh, I already said this part. So just like keep track of what they're posting. And it just makes you say maybe they're looking for something specific in their life that you can share with them. Like, hey, I saw that you're looking for a good mop for your floor, and maybe you have a good mop. You could just say, I just wanted to let you know mine, I love it. I use the Shark or whatever. And so here's the Amazon link just in case you want to try it. I love it. And that's just a way to re-engage. Reaching out just to say happy birthday is something simple. This one I wouldn't recommend to do until you actually have started a re-engagement already, like a conversation. But this is a good way to re-engage, is to ask for referrals. But I wouldn't do it like they haven't heard from you in 6 months and all of a sudden say, hey, do you know anybody that wants Scentsy? That's kind of like, wait a minute, you haven't even given me Scentsy, But after you've started that conversation and that dialogue again, that is another touch point after you've talked to them a couple times, and just say, hey, you know what? I'm just looking to expand my business. And I was curious, do you know anybody that, would be interested in Scentsy, whether they, doing a party or smelling the new scents or whatever. Let's see. Okay, I've kind of bounced around. I'm actually done. So, but basically my biggest tip after all of that, we have to, once we start re-engaging again, we have to find out, why did I stop re-engaging or engaging? And then how can I make sure that doesn't happen again? And what platform or system or ritual or whatever you want to call it will help me stay engaged? Okay. So I'm a big fan of, having a VIP page. Like I said, I use Project Broadcast. Obviously that hasn't been around all 12 years, but lately it's been the best because people are always looking at their text messages. But it's a way to touch them and keep you on their mind. So even if you're not directly reaching out and saying, hey, how are you? They've heard from you, and they know you're still in the business, and they know that if they need Scentsy, you're there to help them. So if you're doing some type of a campaign or drip system or text system with your Project Broadcast or whatever you use, just make sure that you're throwing in every now and then, maybe like a Thankful Thursday text, just like, hey, I just want to let you guys know that or use the dynamic fields. Hey, Jess, just want to let you know how grateful I am for your support of my business. I'd love to, catch up and see how you're doing lately, because it's been a while. And just to kind of humanize you, so it's not just sales things going on. And just a little tip, it's important to not be just flooding them with every single promotion, because they will get sick of that and they will click stop. One more tip. What I did to make sure that I wasn't not sending the things that people wanted, I did a survey and I had them fill it out, and I just said I'd send them a scent circle in the mail if they fill it out. I asked them, do you want to know about everything that comes out new, like every promotion, every new product, whatever? Do you want to know just about the things that you're interested in that you've bought in the past? Or I gave them like options. And the funny thing is, I got more people saying they just want to know about it all. Because here's the thing, they don't have to buy it all. Then they have the option of just saying, oh, okay, I read Jess's text. Oh, I'm not interested. And they just move on. So Um, I hope that's helpful for you guys about re-engaging. And it's going to look different for everybody. Obviously, the way I had to start re-engaging in different times, when I again had my kind of coma in life, when I decided to re-engage, I literally made phone calls to my clients and just said, I just want to thank you for, sticking with me through all this time. And I let them know what was going on. And I literally had people coming to my door, picking up products, knowing that I was going through a hard time when they never did before. I was always the one that would deliver. I had people bringing soup to my house because they knew I wasn't in a good place. So transparency is so important. Just keep people aware. Here's a tip for like, it can be used in our kind of business, but it's also very important in like a business, kind of like if you happen to be like a checker at some type of a store, people